Warren Fiscal Court, Monday, February 4th, 2019 is now called to order. I want to welcome Pastor Andy Toops with the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, who's here to offer prayer this morning. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for prayer and remain standing as Esquire Young will lead us in the pledge following.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning and we give you thanks for the warm weather. And we ask, Lord, that you would continue to be with our community. We thank you for those who lead us. We ask, Lord, that you would be with our first responders in the city and out in the county and help us always to support their efforts. Lord God, we ask especially that you would be with us as a nation in these trying days. And we pray, Lord, that you would lead, guide, and direct us so that everything we do and everything we say would bring honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Here.
Esquire Gorman. Esquire Young.
Here.
Esquire Cummings.
Here.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Here.
Need to approve the minutes of the fiscal court meeting of January 25th, 2019. Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young. Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the work schedule for the Warren County Road Department. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Young. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the work schedule to approve the personnel changes for Warren County.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second. Squire McWhorter, discussion. Questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item is to approve the special tourism project fund request from the Corvette Museum on behalf of the National Corvette Museum Motorsports Park in the amount of $152,354 for installation of electrical wiring around a large portion of the track. And the purpose of this is to allow for the park to install lighting holidays and annually from mid-November through December. And Sherry Murphy's here with us today to talk about this, along with Wendell Strode, who is the longtime boss man out at the National Corvette Museum. And we're proud to have all you all here.
Well, we wanted to have a good representation here today. Thank you all for allowing us to come and present this worthy project to you all. As you know, the Special Events Project money goes toward worthy events in our community that help generate more economic development through tourism purposes. And today we have a request, as Judge Buchanan said, from the Corvette Museum on behalf of the Motor Park Sports track. I'll get it right here in a minute. But the Tourism Board reviewed this earlier in January. We've had long, extensive conversations, and we feel like this is a very good thing for the tourism in our area. We feel like it will have an impact, and we are hoping that it will also generate more room nights and more money coming into the community. Does anybody have any questions about the project?
Just so everyone understands, these are funds that come from the Tourist Commission. They don't come from the county's general fund.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Payne. Any discussion? Anyone want to complain to Wendell about anything?
Just when will this work be completed if we get this approved?
The electricity, hopefully by early March.
No complaints then. All right. Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All of you all are familiar with Joe Plunk, and you know Mark, and you know Isaac back here, and you see a lot of our good friends from the Commonwealth of Kentucky administration. But a gentleman who's with us here today is someone you haven't seen in court here today before. I'm sure you've seen him in Frankfurt and in other areas, but Greg Thomas, who's the Transportation Secretary of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, is here, and I'd like for all of you all to show him the respect that he deserves, since I know at least all of you all over here are going to be calling on him from one time to another for different roadways and bridges and so forth in your areas. But Secretary Thomas, we're very proud to have you here with us today, and love to hear from you about anything that you want to talk about. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Judge, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you today and share with you. Well, I guess first let me just say that we, from a cabinet perspective, are busy this year supporting the governor's priorities and his vision. And as far as the transportation cabinet is concerned, that is jobs, jobs, jobs. I was at a cabinet meeting a few weeks ago, and the Economic Development Cabinet reported out 50,745 jobs that the governor has brought into the state since he assumed office, which is phenomenal. But from a transportation perspective, he realizes that it's about infrastructure and it's about connecting people with jobs. So in terms of our priorities, we're in the middle of our second, I guess, year of SHIFT, which is our prioritization model. We prioritize projects, we score the projects, and we bring them back. And working with the General Assembly, I think we've done a better job this last road plan, since the over-programming went from 200% down to 8%. So folks now have a more realistic expectation if their project makes it in the road plan that there's a good chance it'll be addressed and built. So we're proud of that. That's going on the second cycle. And also really proud of the fact that the General Assembly agreed with us that it's about repair of our bridges and our pavements. And we set forth more funds. We went from about a third to about a half in terms of our support for infrastructure. That's our pavements and bridges. And hopefully by now you've heard of our Bridging Kentucky program, where we're setting out to repair 1,000 deficient bridges over the next 6 years. We're looking to let somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 plus bridges this year. And I was talking to Joe, and I think there's at least some for Warren County in that list. I think as early as March letting. So we're happy for that. We're happy about the progress of 400 plus bridges this year to be let. So it's about infrastructure and connecting people to jobs. Another initiative we have, which is why we're here, is we decided early on that it's not enough to worry about the 27,000 miles plus that the state worries about every year, but there's also 80,000 miles of total highways in Kentucky, and that encompasses the county roads and the municipal roads. And so what we wanted to do was to get out and to get with the county judges and to attend these fiscal court meetings with the idea that local folks know best, and they know their priorities, they know what's important to them. We do have some funding in terms of discretionary funds that that we prioritize every year and allocate. But if there's a way to talk to folks, to understand their priorities, what we're looking for is projects that lead to direct job growth, projects that retain jobs, or just critical needs in your community. The projects that that your constituents, that the citizens feel it's really critical. That's what we're here to listen to, and that's why we're here today. I have Joe and his team, and everywhere I go, I find quality people in the transportation cabinet. I'm a little biased, but coming in from the private sector, I can tell you that these are a talented bunch of folks that's in the transportation cabinet. But he's here today as well, and what I thought I would do, unless there's any questions of me, is let him give a brief overview of what's going on regionally, and then we can entertain any questions that you might have, both from a cabinet level or from a local project level. And I'll ask Joe to come up and introduce his team and give you just a brief overview. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Please come back.
Always a privilege to be here with you. Judge Buchanan and Fiscal Court, thank you for the opportunity. I will make a few brief introductions, and I'll ask my folks to stand. Tim Sharp is our branch manager for all of our construction and maintenance activities for the district, and he's here with me. And our maintenance engineer, Stuart Payton, he's here as well. And you've seen him before. He's a face that's come before the court to make a presentation annually on our rural secondary program, and he will be back here on March 5th. That's when we're scheduled to be back before the court to make that annual report. Wes Watt is our public information officer. If you're not on his email distribution list, now's the time. He has great information about project impacts, snow and ice operations from a few weeks ago, so follow him also on social media, KYTC District 3 on Facebook and Twitter. You can find good information about the things that are going on at the Transportation Cabinet. And then Mark Welch is with us as well. He's from the Office of Rural and Municipal Aid. He's a familiar face as well to this region, and he is our counterpart there in the Office of Rural and Municipal Aid. We have a lot of great things going on in the Cabinet. Just so you know, District 3 covers 10 counties in the South Central Kentucky area. That's 2,500 miles of state-maintained roadways in the area. Our office is here in Bowling Green. We have more than 800 miles of state-maintained roadways in Warren County. And we have a lot of opportunities to work with the Fiscal Court. If you aren't already a part of the Metropolitan Planning Organization's efforts to try to identify and nominate and sponsor projects for the next highway plan. So less than a year from now, the governor will be presenting his recommended highway plan, and that is partly from your input. So there's already been a couple of work group meetings that have been held at the City County Planning building, and Carissa Lemon is our MPO coordinator. She brings all of us together at the table, the county, the city, and Transportation Cabinet, as well as others, to talk about our needs and priorities. So I encourage you to be part of that. As well as, again, working with you on your rural secondary program, and we'll be presenting what your allotment is here in just within the month. A lot of projects in the 2018 highway plan that was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor less than a year ago. We're working through many of those, so I'm very proud of the accomplishments of our women and men at the Transportation Cabinet, and in partnership with the contractors in our region as well. So many of you know that right before Christmas, we were able to open up the last section of the connector road. It's not complete. Louisville Road, a lot of work still yet to be done on Louisville Road, but the connector road from exit 30 on up to Louisville Road was open to traffic a week before Christmas. All the Natural Parkway improvements, the modernization to convert it to an interstate, Interstate 165, which will be coming just within a month or two. You'll see all the signs for the Parkway coming down and signs for Interstate 165 going up. But there are efforts all through the year just to increase our ramp lengths and tapers, rebuilding bridge walls, and correcting rock slopes from here to Owensboro. So that effort is going on throughout 2019. Eventually, the old toll plaza there at Morgantown Road will be reconstructed as part of that effort as well. All of the arterials you can imagine, whether it's Cemetery Road improvements, Nashville Road widening from the roundabout to Campbell Lane, Nashville Road widening on out to Buchanan Park through the Rich Pond community, Scottsville Road improvements between Pasco and Cave Mill and on up to the entrance to the mall. A lot of improvements are in the plan in the biennium, so we're proud of those, and that's really the efforts of this court and others who helped get those projects in and sponsor those in the highway plan. So that's really all of my prepared remarks, and I'm sure we'll be happy to take any questions that you have.
Speaking of new road improvements, Shive Lane, Through the Loom had asked me to inquire about the intention to extend Shive Lane on through to Lover's Lane. Does that look like it's going to happen in the next year or so? I know that's partially a city thing, but they were concerned about that stoplight.
Yes, sir.
Which they need.
Yes, sir.
And they didn't know if that was getting ready to happen, if it was going to affect their ability to get out on the road with all their trucks.
The city has a project that's in design now. I believe they're going to begin buying some property along Shive Lane from Scottsville Road up to Ken Bell, and that will include a roundabout, I believe, there. As far as what happens from there on over to Middlebridge Road and Lover's Lane, I'm not aware of the city's plans. There's nothing in the highway plan at this point.
Okay.
That has been debated in the past. It was on again, off again as far as in the highway plan, but there is nothing in the highway plan at this point. But those are that's kind of feedback that we need as far as trying to get it in next year's highway plan. Certainly, whenever that comes, we will work with the locals and Through the Loom to make sure that they have access at all times.
Are there any questions?
Joe, I have a lot of calls. I live on Cemetery Road, and of course, a lot of people go to the lake there. What are your expectations that I can tell my constituents on improving Cemetery Road? It's great to the bridge, obviously, and just a little pass, but what are your thoughts on that?
Certainly a lot of debate about the next section. When is it going to come? And to Fountain Trace, I think that's been the next priority. And the MPO, that working group that I was telling you about before, that was one of the projects that was considered a higher priority project. Of course, I can't make any guarantees as far as will it be in the highway plan, but I know that there are many people in this room that think that's an important project, and we'll do everything we can to get it in the highway plan for improvements. And that would be, whether that includes turn lanes or certainly reconstructing the roadway for wider shoulders and fixing the curbs and making wider areas for safety beyond the shoulder. I think that would be ultimately the goal of that project. We live in this community as well, Magistrate, and we recognize the need to improve that roadway. Yes, sir.
Judge, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Joe. I talk to Joe often, probably on the average of once a week about something that somebody has called in state highways. Joe has been super in answering my questions and getting on the problems and fixing things, and Mark, you're right, he is top notch. Appreciate your hard work.
I appreciate that, Magistrate, but I have to give the credit to the folks that are with me here. I'm usually just the conduit. They're the ones that are taking care of business, both with their crews and getting me good information. So thank you for sharing that.
I'll have to ditto that. Joe, you've been great to work with, and Tim and Greg, everyone, it's been great to work with. Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll cost you $20.
Lunch will do.
Yes, sir. Squire Payne?
Look, John, do you know if redesign River Street is going to be funded this year?
Oh, Mr. Kelly, good to see you. There is a project in the highway plan for, it's Kentucky 3225. Now, a lot of people know that as Old Louisville Road, but now it's known as River Street. And those are improvements, safety improvements, operational improvements for the roadway from the bridge over the Barren River to Louisville Road. And that is in the highway plan, it is in the biennium, and there are funds that are currently not authorized, but we are working with our counterparts in Frankfort to get funds authorized so that we can begin the design phase. And what that looks like as far as drainage improvements, new sidewalks, reconstructed entrances, and likely what we call a road diet. So right now it's 2 lanes in each direction, and I think there's some thought in the community about bike lanes or some other improvements that enhance pedestrian and bicycle accommodations through the area. So the quick answer is it's in the highway plan. The funds haven't been authorized yet. It's set up for fiscal year 2020, which begins on July 1st. So I anticipate being able to start on that project this calendar year.
Any other questions?
I will also compliment you all. I've been only involved a couple times in MPO, and I'm very impressed with your process and your tolerance for all the questions that I've asked personally in those meetings. But I think it's a great process, and I'm looking forward to what the prioritization comes out soon with that.
It's a team effort, really, to get input from you and your constituents to build that list of projects. So thank you for being part of that.
Gentlemen, any other questions, comments? Joe, we appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
And we honestly appreciate you being here, Mr. Secretary.
And you know, the request doesn't have to stop today. If you have some other concerns and critical needs, let Joe know, and we'll certainly factor that in to the. We want to partner with you to the extent we can make things work. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Ms. Alexiv, if while you're getting that ready,
Yep, it's ready.
you got it ready?
Good morning.
Okay, good
Judge
morning.
Buchanan and magistrates, as well as distinguished guests, and especially we're glad to have the Secretary of Transportation here, Greg Thomas. Thank you so much. And while this is getting set up, I would like to have our board members stand really quickly to be recognized.
Okay,
All of our board members that are present, I named one,
there you go. We got
and then
important people.
yes, yes. Oh, thank you.
Operation Pride is
So
an
this is
organization
a-
that's been in existence for 25, 26 years. And if you look at Louisville Road, Scottsville Road, and so forth, I'm sure Joe's probably already given you a little bit of a rundown on this, but they make a big difference in our community.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, Beautify 65 is our next project because every exit is our entrance. We have a video to show you to share the vision for that. So I'm going to let that be shown and then
Okay.
continue. Thank you.
Bowling Green, a place we all call home. From small business growth to industrial expansion, we continue to invest in this special place. Museums, historic landmarks, parks, performing arts centers, and our automotive heritage, all coming together to tell the world this is Bowling Green, Kentucky. If you're not here, you are certainly missing out. Keeping in mind this pride in who we are, we believe it's time to make the entrances into our home reflect the beauty within. The Natural Parkway, soon to be an I-65 spur, allows 4-lane limited access from the south of the city to the northwest quadrant. Exit 20 is where travelers coming from the south will be greeted with beautiful green space. And as we pass through this area on our daily routes, we'll be reminded why we love this community so much. Exit 22, the city's most traveled entrance, lets off onto Scottsville Road, a strong example of Bowling Green's growth and economic strength. Our mall and restaurant selection attracts shoppers from around the region. Exit 26 puts visitors onto Cemetery Road, a corridor into the city and to Western Kentucky University, beautifully landscaped by Operation Prime and supported by some of its dozens of partners. The route carries travelers past the Sky Pack and Bowling Green Ballpark, home to the Hot Rods minor league baseball team, and into our vibrant downtown, where new restaurants and businesses seem to be popping up daily. At Exit 28, the General Motors Assembly Plant and National Corvette Museum tell visitors this is the home of America's iconic sports car. That legacy is enhanced by the new NCM Motorsports Park and the historic Beach Bend Park and Raceway. Now imagine how much more attractive this important gateway could appear. The newest exit on the Interstate 65 corridor through town, Exit 30, gives easy access to our growing manufacturing sector at the Kentucky Transpark. When our citizens go to work at our great manufacturers, let us remind them of the larger vision that they're contributing to day in and day out. Bowling Green, one of the nation's most vibrant, unique, and quickly growing communities. Our love for this city is already evident in the initiatives we've made thus far. Beautifying I-65 is simply the next step.
So this design, this is a visioning video. This is not the final design. We just wanted to give an idea of what the exits could look like in the future. So we have contracted with a design and engineering firm, and they came up with a draft design for us, and we had many people in the community participate in that, and we appreciate that. And we don't have a budget yet, but we're very close to having one, preliminary budget, and then we'll take that information and we will speak with our folks in the local district as well as the state and the Federal Highway Administration, and we'll just take it from there. We appreciate the community's support thus far because it's been really, really wonderful, and we can't make these things happen without that. We're very confident about this project because every project Operation Pride has taken on in the last 25 years has been successful, and we're very proud of that, and I think the community's proud of that. So this is just the next step in its time with all of our growth. I do want to mention Haley Cobbs is our WKU intern for social media and outreach, and I'm going to have her stand. Thank you, Haley. We're very thankful to have her, and Western is another partner. So I'm happy to take any questions, if anybody has any.
I think most of you all have seen this before, but those of you who haven't, if you have any questions, I think...
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very, very proud of what you all are doing and what you've done over the past few years. I know all of you all have seen, I'm sure Rex, Squire McWhorter has seen what they're doing on Cemetery Road right now. And it really does make a difference. Makes a difference in not only what the pride that people who live here feel about it, but just as importantly, it makes a difference to those people who pass through Bowling Green and may decide they want to move here or move their business here. And this initiative here, as you putting it on the entrances into our community, actually has the ability to influence 20 million people that go up and down that road every day, 20 million plus. I think on a couple of the a couple of the areas, there are 22 million people each year that go up and down I-65. A lot of people, many of them may have businesses that they want to locate here, and certainly a lot of them can be positively influenced to look at moving their families here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you mentioned the Cemetery Road replanting project because we're very proud of that as well. So this spring things will start blooming, and I think everybody will be really excited about that, and it was time, and we appreciate the support of the community with that as well. So thank you so much, and we look forward to transforming those exits so the rest of the world can see what an amazing place this is.
Thank you so much.
I think we should thank Johnny Webb. I believe he's the culprit of getting this going because he was traveling down in Alabama and saw a town, I don't remember the name of it, and said, well, we need to do this in Bowling Green.
Johnny Webb is the founder of Operation Pride, and Judge Buchanan was one of the three that sat down and made it happen 25 years ago. And Johnny Webb is the co-chair today. It's an amazing board of directors. We don't take on projects, we don't commit to projects unless we can see them through. Beautify 65 is a huge project, huge project. So when we see the budget, we will look at both the installation cost as well as maintenance. And maintenance is long-term, and it is a bigger number. So that's another reason why we're excited about this, because once we look at that, we will figure out a way to make it happen so that everybody is secure and knowing that it's going to be taken care of in the long term. So I'm glad you mentioned Johnny. Thank you so much.
All righty. Next, I'd like to call on Jordan Waters. I'd like to give an update on the status of our archery programs here in Warren County. And Mr. Comer, are you still? Okay. Oh, I forgot to, I did not see this gentleman back here. Speaker Jody Richards snuck in here, and I would have recognized you before if I had seen you. He's trying to be low profile. Glad to have you here, Jody. Yes, sir.
Judge and court, as you all know, the gyms that we have at Michael Buchanan Park and Ephraim White Park have become very, very busy with different activities. One of the activities that we had talked about in our original planning was the opportunity to go outside the realm of the primary purpose of what the gyms were built for, being basketball and volleyball and walking. Over the course of the last 12 months, Jordan Waters, Steve Epley, and a very dedicated crew, primarily based out of Bristow Elementary School, Warren East High School, and Warren East Middle, have created an outstanding archery program that has encompassed various schools from not just Warren County, but then also throughout the region. They've got some exciting things going on, and just wanted to present to the court Mr. Waters on behalf of Stephen Epley and the archery group in Warren County to kind of give an update of what they're doing, some of the things on the radar that are up and coming. And at this time, Jordan, it's yours.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us here this morning. As he said, I am Jordan Waters. I'm with the Warren East Archery Boosters and one of the coaches for Warren East Archery. This past, probably like 2 weeks ago, we had a state qualifier tournament at Ephraim White Park. We had 37 schools in attendance. There were 586 archers who shot and participated, 100 coaches, probably 50-something volunteers, and we had 1,060 spectators roughly. That doesn't count anybody under the age of 9. We are planning to host regional for NASP, and it is coming up February 23rd, I believe. We have signed up already 36 schools, 885 archers signed up to shoot and participate. The gym has been an excellent way to shoot with the kids. When we did it at Warren East High School, we would use Warren East High School gym and middle school, and it would have us volunteers working until 11 on Friday, coming back in at 6 on Saturday, and working until 11 Saturday night. And this way, we can shoot the same amount of people and home by 4 o'clock Saturday. So, but it's great. We can shoot, I want to say 112 kids in one flight. And I know that you see kids with a bow and you might think, but there's a lot of discipline, a lot of rules. And it's a great program for the kids that they can't always shoot in a sport. So they can't always support their school in basketball. We've got a young man that doesn't have any arms and he's shooting, so.
Wow.
Any questions for me?
I had no earthly idea that archery had become so big until we started planning these multi-purpose gymnasiums, and it was just astounding to me, but I still didn't realize that the numbers were as strong as you just reported.
I want to say the middle school and high school, we've got probably 100 kids or plus that participate in that sport, in just Warren East High School and middle school. And I think every Warren County school, including Bowling Green, I think Warren Center, like Central, doesn't have a team, but every other team does, and most feeder schools have started teams, and they start in 4th grade all the way up to senior.
That's incredible. Chris, do you have any?
No, just Jordan and his crew have done an excellent job in really maximizing the space at the gym facilities. If you have not seen one of their archery tournaments, they have a mobile command center that they roll into our office. I think ESPN would be hard-pressed to have a setup kind of like what they've created. It's absolutely unbelievable. I walk in there in awe and just sit on the bleachers as a spectator and watch them run their events. It's absolutely unbelievable. In regards to opportunities in the future, they're working diligently with KHSAA. There is some stuff on the radar in regards to both state and regional meets, as Jordan had alluded to, that should be hopefully announcements in the coming months. And so we're excited about that and appreciate the work and efforts of Jordan and the entire archery team and group and citizens that support the sport. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Jordan.
It takes a lot of volunteers.
Thank you so
And
much.
we'd like to thank Chris and what he's done on the gym to allow us to get in there and tape it up and shoot.
Chris does a remarkable job, but he depends on volunteers and the leagues themselves to actually run these programs. But he and his staff do a remarkable job, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Chris, I'm going to move a couple of things on the agenda, if there are no objections, to accommodate some people here, and you're involved in both of these. Item number 13, if there are no objections from the court, I'd like to grant authority to accept and renew the joint use agreement between Living Hope Baptist Church and the Warren County Parks and Recreation Department for a term of 24 months and
Actually, the term will be for 12 months, subject to renewal, if that's okay with the court. I would like to introduce Benny Stouffer. He is the local impact pastor for Living Hope Baptist Church. As you all may or may not know, hopefully you know, Living Hope has been a huge community partner with Warren County Parks and Rec. And despite, even with the new gyms being built, we have 10 courts of our own. Our basketball program would not have space with the 10 new courts and with using 14 to 15 elementary schools within the county system and middle schools on any given day or night. We would not have space for the 30 to 40 primary boys, Little Hoopster divisions, and Division I girls basketball teams that Living Hope has so graciously accommodated and allowed us to partner with them on. Their partnership with us and their ability and willingness for us to use their facilities and to support our programs is just unbelievable. And so we are forever grateful for their generosity and continued support of both our department and then also, more importantly, the youth and families of Warren County in our basketball leagues. And Benny, if you'd like to say some words.
Mr. Stouffer.
Briefly, we're thrilled to be a partner with this great team, the Warren County Parks and Rec. to invest in the lives of these children, hopefully to make a difference. And thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you, and I agree with you. They make a heck of a difference with to the future of our community, and make a big difference to our young people and families throughout our community. But Chris said it already, but I want to emphasize, we just built these 2 nice new gyms with multiple new courts, and we're already out of space. We could not continue without the Living Hope Gymnasium, which I have to say is a really, really nice facility. But I'm glad you all built that so we could use it too. Because we need it, as you know, all the time. We very much appreciate it. Chris, after he promoted these nice facilities, he felt like they were going to be adequate for some time. And within a month after we occupied these facilities, he was telling me that they were having to cut off programs. They were having to actually limit the number of people who are out there. I have an 8-year-old, well, she's 9 now, 9-year-old granddaughter who plays soccer and basketball not soccer, volleyball and basketball out there. And she's out there at 9 o'clock on a school night because that was the only time they could get scheduled out there. That's a good problem to have, but it hasn't solved all of our needs in Warren County yet. So we're very proud of the work that the Parks Department and Recreation programs do for our community. But we very much appreciate the help and facilities of Living Hope.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for being here.
I'll make the motion. Motion.
We have a motion by Squire Cummings.
Second.
Grant authority to accept and renew the 12-month, second by Squire Porter. Any questions, discussions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Comer?
Yes, sir. I think item number 15
15.
Is probably the next one that we're going to address. As you all know, we sent out an RFP several weeks ago, about a month ago, in regards to trying to do a feasibility study for an indoor ice rink and tennis facility. Also in the court with us today are supporters of that feasibility study. There's a large contingent from the local tennis community, also the inline hockey community. And there's a lot of interest in the possible development and the feasibility of these facilities. And next to me is Chris Camp. Chris is the CEO of Lowson Associates, based out of Nashville. As all of you all know, we've assessed the 3 quotes that were received. All 3 companies are extremely good companies. With the time frame that we had implemented for the study to be completed, which is a fairly aggressive time frame, being roughly 4 months, we want to make sure that we have some data and some information so that moving into the next fiscal year, 2019-2020, that the court has information to help with guiding us forward as we move into seeing if these 2 facilities would be feasible. With that being said, we are recommending today, based on their submittal, also based on their time frame, their professional services and associated groups and structure, and their presentation of how they would lay out their study, that we would recommend Lowson Associates for $88,520 to complete that feasibility study. And with me again is Chris Camp, the CEO of Lowson Associates, and he was gracious enough to come up from Nashville today, and he's willing to answer any questions, as well as I am, in regards to any questions you might have. Also, we had sent out a comparison email last week to all the magistrates, judge, and to kind of compare the different providers. And again, all 3 providers are excellent, but when we're looking at who can produce the study and the time frame that we need and the quality that we need with the data of the regional market, I do recommend that Lowson Associates would be that firm. So at that point in time, if you have any questions, myself or Mr. Camp would be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Camp, you agree with Mr. Comer?
Yes, sir, Judge, I do. A little bit about our company. My late partner, David Lose, was a Kentucky native. And I did my first project in Kentucky in 1988 in Owensboro, the Jack C. Fisher softball complex over there. And our company has focused on recreation design for 35 years. And for this project, we are teaming with SFA, a nationally known feasibility marketing company. We just completed a similar study in Clarksville, Tennessee, and Hendersonville, Tennessee, looking at ice hockey in particular. But they do studies. They'll do the financial and economic projections. We're going to do your site searches and concept plans to give you an idea going forward what the budget you'll need if these two projects, the tennis center and the ice center, go forward. And it's a pleasure. We haven't had a project for Warren County for probably about 15 years when we did a greenway, countywide greenway plan with the city. It was a joint project, and it's a pleasure to be back.
We're glad to have you here. We appreciate you coming up from Nashville. We hope you can help us determine how we're going to do this, where, and so forth. And we appreciate your all's interest in our community.
Well, I'm a big Preds fan, so anytime we can help build more sheets of ice in this region, I'm all for it.
We're big Preds fans up here too. I've only actually been to live one of their games, but wow,
Yes.
what an energized game. I mean, it is fast and a little bit confusing.
Yes. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so the item number 15 is to accept the proposal from Lowe's and Associates as the best firm to complete the indoor tennis and ice rink facility or facilities feasibility study for Warren County at a cost of $88,520. We have a motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Payne. Discussion or questions?
I just think it's important we have to have this feasibility study to see the plausibility. So this is the first big step. It's something we have to do. I know it's a big dollar ticket, and I've had a lot of people ask me about that personally, but we can't go out and spend $15, $20 million on something unless we know there's a need for it, and I think this is the first major step we have to take, so.
Yeah. I believe there's a need, but I agree with you 100%. Both of these sports are not new sports, but they're certainly new to our recreation programming. And unlike basketball and volleyball, which we thought we had a handle on, and we had somewhat of an idea of what our needs were, it's difficult to know in these two sports because we really haven't had an indoor facility since Tennistown, and have never had really the real desire or need for ice until recent years. But we've had an awful lot of people move in, about 55,000 new people have moved in the last few years that are, many of them are from the north, from Europe, from Canada, and they're used to having ice. And our inline hockey has grown terrifically, but they can't grow too much because they only have one facility out there. But we just don't have an idea of the scope or need at this point. We have a motion and a second. We have any further comments, discussion?
This program, this feasibility study, did I see 90 days to complete this?
By the end of April.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Camp. Thank you, Mr. Cummer. Y'all are welcome to all stay around. But we all recognize your level of support for this, and we appreciate you being here to demonstrate that. Thanks, Martina. Okay. Without objection, I'm going to go back to item number 8. Approve Order 1904, appointing Doug Gorman to the Operation Pride Board. Motion by Squire Lawrence. Second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve interfund transfers for Warren County.
So move.
Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Young. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the treasurer's report for December 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes,
McWhorter.
ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item is to approve second quarter financial report for 1819 for the Plum Springs, Warren County Joint Stormwater Sewer Agency.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Payne. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes,
McWhorter.
ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 12 is to approve a determination for the alarm monitoring and inspections for the year 2019 from Select Security in the amount of $3,432 for 12 months for the Warren County Parks Department single source vendor. And this will be for Moore, White, and Buchanan gyms. Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 14 is approve appropriation in the amount of $20,000 to Operation Pride for the work on Cemetery Road project. This is split with the city of Bowling Green. They've already approved their funds, haven't they?
This project was pretty expensive. With the in-kind contribution from Scotty's was probably about $75,000. We requested $20,000 from the city and the county, and the city has appropriated that to us. So we're requesting that from you all as well. And then we are paying, Operation Pride is obviously covering the remainder of that, and secured in-kind services for traffic control from Scotty's, which was a huge benefit, and we appreciate that very much.
So
Motion
move.
approved.
Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the 2018 oil and limestone certifications for the Warren County Sheriff's Department.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Payne, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the 2018 property tax settlement for Sheriff Gaines' term.
So move.
Motion by Squire McWhorter,
Second.
second by Squire Lawrence. Any discussion or questions?
I'm just curious, on a collection rate, how many have
Say that again, I
we,
Paul.
collection, how many have we actually collected of our percentage?
Oh, our
of
percentage of collection for the settlement is it around 99? Jessica? Looking to the person who knows.
It was roughly 95% for the first 2 months.
This was just a settlement on the discount and face amounts, and we closed collections totally in April 17th. And we have about 5% left. Well, actually, about 2 at this point, but yeah.
Any other questions? Complaints? All right. Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve the Warren County Sheriff's fourth quarter 2018 report that is submitted to the Department of Local Government. Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, we need to pay the bills. Will the treasurer please present the claims to the court?
General Fund, $273,025. Road Fund, $59,446. Jail Fund, $181,742. LGEA Fund, $500. And Stormwater Fund, $17,712. Be happy to answer any questions.
Motion pay the claims as submitted.
Motion by Squire Young to approve claims as submitted. Second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
We have Isaac Myers here with us with the Governor's Office, Department of Local Government. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us, or any complaints or any comments? Thank you so much. Okay. Ms. Yates? Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. The weather's warm. What's not to yesterday was a beautiful day. So everybody get out and enjoy the warm weather while it's here for us.
Jailer Harmon? Sheriff Hightower?
Sir, I'd just like to say that we went ahead and had 2 new employees begin this week over at the Justice Center. So Trey Marlowe and Ray Thurman are 2 new CSOs over there working part-time. So you see them.
Excuse me, Sheriff, but would you mind coming up to here, because I can hear you, which is kind of remarkable because I usually can't hear. But I want to make sure that people
Yes,
at
sir.
home
I
can
just
hear.
wanted to let everybody know we brought on 2 new CSOs this past week, Trey Marlowe and Ray Thurman, who are going to be starting over at the Justice Center, and they'll be going on this first week of training. So if you see them over there, just say hi to them. There are a couple new employees here at the Warren County Sheriff's Office.
I saw them on, I guess it was Facebook, but what are their names?
One is Ray Thurman Ray, I'm sorry.
Thurman Ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Trey Marlowe.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for them.
Yes, sir.
Welcome them.
All right, thank you.
Now, I thank you so much, and I apologize. When we're actually given a report, I have a couple of them that like to yell from the back, but if it's something of substance, I like for people at home to be able to
Yes,
hear.
sir. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Comer? He left. He's always out talking with us. Okay. Mr. Moore? Mr. Young? Mr. Pearson. Oh. Mr. Branstetter. Mr. Appling. Mr. Peterson.
Something just real quick to mention, the city of Bowling Green is doing a housing study currently, but I want to just make sure everyone knows that is for all of Warren County. Obviously, the housing market extends well past the city limits, so they are studying the housing issues for the entire county. Currently, there is a survey active that we want everybody to go out and take. If you go to www.bgky.org, which is the City of Bowling Green's website, it's the second featured link on the first page of that website, and that is a housing study that people can fill out and give feedback and opinions on. And this I just want to mention quickly that this study's a little something a little different. It's a little beyond the normal housing study. It's going to help us determine gaps in housing types. So it's not just going to tell us how many housing units we need, what a traditional housing study does. It's also going to study types of housings and see things that we may be missing in the market, so we can collaborate and take that back to developers and others to see what should we be building in this community and what markets are we maybe missing. It's also going to study trends and things that, housing market is changing. I think as we speak, really, it's changing quite a bit also. It's also going to look at affordability ranges for those different housing types and what can we afford as a community based on how much money we make, those types of things. And then also a big component, what we've been asking for, I think, for the past few years is what does workforce housing look like in our community based on the wages we pay and the jobs of people we're trying to attract to our community to fill jobs. So what types of housing can they afford and what are they looking for? So it's going to look at all those things and hopefully provide guidance on how we should be addressing housing issues in our community. So working closely together with the city and the county staff as well through this, and hope to have that back. So again, everybody please go at bgky.org, take that housing survey, and it's open until February 14th, Valentine's Day. So we've got a couple of days left here to fill those housing surveys out, and then we'll be bringing those results back. I believe the studies due be done, expected to be completed by April. So
That's good.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Comer, did you have anything you'd like to report, or?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Lexick.
One more thing. Clean the Green is March 16th. That is our signature event. This year is the inaugural event, and we will be picking up trash in various locations throughout Warren County. So we are looking for volunteers and volunteer groups, and we're also going on a trash tour this afternoon to look at possible locations where the groups will be. It'll be from 9 to 1 on Saturday, the 16th of March, which is the kickoff to Commonwealth Cleanup Week as well. So we're very excited, working with the county, working with the city, working with the Transportation Cabinet, working with WKU. So we're in community neighborhood groups. So I just wanted to let you all know that if you would like to participate, or you have other groups of folks that you know of that we could contact, that would be great.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Markram? Chief, the fire chiefs are here this morning. Okay. All right. Squire Payne?
Oh, thank you, Judge.
Okay. Squire Lawrence?
Thank you, Judge.
Squire McWhorter?
Everything's good, thank you, sir.
Squire Young?
Thank you, Judge.
Squire Cummings?
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Milliken?
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Burrow?
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Hale?
Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Thank you.
Anybody out in the hall?
Any other business to be brought before this body? I want to welcome Doug Hicks. Always happy to have you here. No other business to be brought before this body. Have a motion to adjourn by Squire McQuarters, Squire Cummings.